Hello, good morning, and welcome here to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show that is dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So we're here. It's July the 12th. We're here doing the number 20 album of the 31 albums that introduced me to these bands for the month of July. So what I'm doing is I had about 70 albums that I had on my list of bands that these were the albums that introduced me to those bands, and I've taken my 31 favorite ones for the month of July, 31 days in July, 31 albums, and I ranked them according to how I like them the best. And today we're going with number 20, which is Back in Black by AC/DC. Try to get up there if I can. Yeah, so a kind of odd thing about this album is that many people, when this came out, thought of this as heavy metal. Maybe because the album is black. Some of the songs on here, Hell's Bells, maybe Back in Black, kind of give that metal feel. Kind of the title does, and then the music is heavy as well. But to me, this has always been a hard rock album. This is a hard rock band. Kind of a band that has a history of being kind of 50-ish in their hard rock sound, right? And this album was the first album they made with Brian Johnson, who took over from Bon Scott after his death. This is not news, I'm telling you, but most people know this stuff. Even the casual person who listens to AC/DC kind of knows this as well. This was produced by Mutt Lange, one of the better producers as well. Absolutely killer album. This launched the group for me. Prior to this album, I have to tell you, I did not know this band at all and had not followed them at all. This was an album that came out. My friend said, "Oh, you got to hear this album." I said, "Yeah, I've heard a couple tracks from it." I got the album in vinyl, of course, played it to absolute death. It was to me one of the biggest albums that year. It was one of my favorite albums of that time. It's faded over time. It's been 40 some plus years since this came out, but it launched the career of AC/DC in my life. I quickly after that went back and got Dirty Deeds. I had Let There Be Rock. Is that the name of the album? Let There Be Rock, I think. And I just got into that stuff too. And I actually think this album, although it launched the career for them, it's being challenged by a couple of their older albums that Bon Scott was on for the supremacy of AC/DC. But for this point in time, it's still my favorite by, not by much though, but definitely launched the group back in the early 80s. I got this album immediately after its release. This is not the original version. I've had several AC/DC Back in Black albums, and this is the current one that I have. I like this one. It's got some nice stuff in the little book in it as well, showing off everybody. And yeah, excellent album. This is the classic band, minus Bon Scott, replaced by Brian Johnson. Just like you can go down the list of songs on here. There's no really bad tunes on here. I've never been a huge fan of Rock and Roll Ain't Noise Pollution. I don't hate it though. I do. It's had its moments with me in time, but overall, I think to me it's probably the weakest track on here. Or Let Me Put My Love Into You. Both of those kind of the weakest tracks, but not by any stretch. They're not terrible songs. Hell's Bells, Shoot to Thrill, Back in Black, and You Shook Me All Night Long are probably the songs most people know. They still get airplay on the radio. But Shake a Leg is really good. Have a Drink on Me is really good. Giving the Dog a Bone at one point, it's probably been my favorite at different times. What You Do for Money, Honey, another heavy cracking song. Shoot to Thrill, probably over the last decade or so, has been my favorite song on this album. It might even be my favorite AC/DC song. It's faded a bit over the last year or so as I've continued to get more into the older stuff. But if you're starting out with AC/DC, this would seem to be the starting point, since it was the starting point for a vast majority of North American AC/DC fans. Of course, the guys in Australia had a lead on us and probably have a completely different view of this band from a different point of view completely. and I completely get that. If this band was playing in my hometown all the time or playing in my home country all the time, I definitely might see this album very differently than I see it. See, for me, this is a launch pad. For some people, this was a downward spiral for some AC/DC fans, but because there tends to be two camps on it. And of course, I think a lot of it depends on your point of view. So for me, that point of view is this is a great album. I think it's one of the greatest rock albums of all time. Definitely had to be on this list. If he'd come back here in 1980 and done this same type of thing, this would have been pretty close to the top. But time and age have factored and weathered it somewhat, but not overtly. So, Back in Black, AC/DC, day number, I think this is day number 12. This is album number 20 on the list. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of my 31 albums that launched these groups for me. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please hit the like and subscribe. Don't forget to leave your comments in the comment section, and then don't forget to hit the notification bell. And we will be back tomorrow, which is July 13th, for number 19. I got an interesting band there as well. I hope to see you then. Take care and have a good one. Goodbye.